Okay, so I'm gonna make some readings. If you have any questions or you have anything to add, just state it. We're on page number 45, Tao of Jeet. Precision of movement means accuracy, and generally it is used in a sense of exactness and the projection of a force. Precision is made up of controlled body movements. These movements should eventually be executed with a minimum amount of strength and exertion, while still achieving the desired result. Precision can only be attained through a considerable amount of practice and training on the part of both the beginner and the experienced fighter.
So this is like what you told me on Wednesday when I was practicing with bangs about not overexerting my movements with strikes or whatnot?
Yes. Precision, now that he brings this up, is extremely important in how we train here. You notice that when we sparred, we didn't use any protective equipment at all. Mm-hmm. It's all based on precision and control. So you need to know exactly what you're doing, what you're aiming for, how hard you're going to hit it, or if you're going to hold back. Like, you got to know, okay, we're sparring, I'm going to hit him, but I'm not going to hit him too hard, but I'm going to hit him so he can feel it. And then if you're attacked out on the streets, you know, okay, this is a life-threatening situation, so I'm going to hit him to protect myself, right? And then you might work with a beginner, like a child or whoever, where you're like, okay, let me just hold back, but I'm going to, you know, show him where his weakness is by exploiting that, but I'm going to hold back the punch. So there's always, that's why when we do sparring, I'll say there's no contact, touch contact, light contact, medium contact. You got to be able to, hard contacts for the street, but you got to be able to know how to control every single movement. And he's saying it takes an immense amount of training to do that. So it's different than something like boxing where you just throw on gloves, fight, go at it, you know. That's like having people do a pillow fight, you know. It's not that harmful because it's pillow, right? But if you start giving people baseball bats, then it's going to be a different story, you know. So you gotta know how to control every movement that you do, especially when it comes to the safe sparring. Skill is best acquired by learning accuracy and precision first, with speed before the skill act is attempted with much power and speed. Skill is best acquired by learning accuracy and precision first, with speed before the skill act is attempted with much power and speed.
Right. So learning the motion and the stance and the technique before actually using it.
Yeah. So he's basically saying skill is best learned by, like, say, looking at a mirror and practicing the technique with speed and good form before you start hitting like the punching bag and all that stuff with full power, you know. A mirror is a definite aid to achieving precision by providing a constant check on posture, hand position, and technical movement. So that's why we got all these mirrors everywhere. And, you know, even when I showed you the squat, it really helps to look at the mirror when you're doing it so you can see that you're doing it right, you know. Yeah. So that's why when we're doing bicep curls or whatever exercise, we try to look at the mirror to check your form, make sure you're doing it right. So when it comes down to combat technique, you gotta analyze every little thing. Like when you're practicing out there the other day with bang, I noticed a lot of excess movement, and I had to point that out to you. But if there is a mirror, then you can kind of see it yourself, you know. Mm-hmm. But there's no mirror, so then I serve to be the mirror by letting you know, okay, this is what you need to fix up. But when you're in this school and you have this mirror, you can kind of look at your form while you're punching or doing drills, and you can check your technique. When you're doing a horse stance back there, I was looking at your stance to make sure that you're doing it the way that it's supposed to be done, so then you get better results. So you want to utilize the mirror to correct your technique, not just in the fitness, but of course in the combat. And like I said, that's why we have all the mirrors here. It's not, you know, it's not like the whole bodybuilding thing where these mirrors are here just to look at your muscles. You're there to check your technique, you know. There's a functional purpose behind the mirrors. Power. To be accurate, the striking or throwing skills should be executed from a body base that possesses enough strength to maintain adequate balance during the action. So what he's talking about right here is basically what I was telling you back there about the horse stance. Yeah. You need to have a strong base. If you don't have a strong base, then your strikes and your throws are not going to be as effective. So just think about it like this: if you're outside and you had to push a car, but then you're standing on ice. I mean, how are you going to push that car when you're standing on ice because your base isn't strong? So in order to push that car, you need to be grounded. So you need to have grip on the ground to push that car. So that's kind of what you need when you want to have power. And that's one of the reasons why I noticed in hockey they let them fight, because they can't really generate much force because they're standing on ice. So they go ahead and let them fight, you know. But I mean, it's an example of how ineffective your strikes will be if you're not grounded. Okay. So when you work those stances and you work those squats, it's trying to build that groundedness. To appropriately incorporate momentum with mechanical advantage, neural impulses are sent to the working muscle to bring a sufficient number of fibers into action at precisely the right time, while impulses to the antagonistic muscles are reduced to lessen the resistance, all acting to improve efficiency and to make the best use of available power. When approaching an unfamiliar task, the athlete tends to over-mobilize his muscular forces, exerting more effort than required. This is a lack of knowledge by the reflective neuromuscular coordinating system.
Like new exercises, you tend to overdo them when you're learning them?
Yes. An example would be when we had you working these drills, and I tell you to block, and then you'd go like over too much, or you push too much, when it's just like this, like minimum effort, same result, opposed to going over, you know. So that's really important in the technique aspect, is you want to achieve the same results or even better with minimum effort. So remember that when you're working, not just in sparring, not just in the drills, but also the wooden dummy, is like try to use less effort to achieve the result that you're looking for. A powerful athlete is not a strong athlete, but one who can exert his strength quickly. Since power equals force times speed, if the athlete learns to make faster movements, he increases his power, even though the contractile pulling strength of his muscles remains unchanged. Thus, a smaller man who can swing faster may hit as hard or as far as a heavier man who swings slowly.
So that's saying that speed is more effective than power?
It's not saying that speed is more effective than power. It's saying that speed and strength equals power. So neither is necessarily better than the other, but he's saying the combination of the two is what's important. But Bruce Lee's almost siding with speed. He kind of likes the more speed. He's saying that if you're faster, it'll increase the force. So just think about like a big semi-truck compared to like a sports car. Sports car is going super fast. It's going to increase the amount of force. The semi-truck is going slow. There's still going to be a lot of force, but it just takes so long for it to get there. So the problem with it was when you're sparring, if you're strong, like that's what I was telling you about these people, these bodybuilders, these powerlifters. You go to the gym, they're like benching all this weight, squatting all this weight, they're all strong. But if you had them fight and you spar, they just can't. They don't have it because they don't have the speed. Like before they can even touch you or grab you or punch you, you already hit them like 15 times because you just kept moving and you got that speed. So Bruce Lee's talking about that speed with the strength is what creates power. So don't forget about speed. And a lot of our training, when we do a lot of stretching, it's like working on getting that speed. Because when your muscles are more relaxed, and flexible, you're going to be faster. So essentially, like what we're doing right now, when we do a lot of stretching, that's kind of like our speed training in a way, you know. The athlete who is building muscles through weight training should be very sure to work adequately on speed and flexibility at the same time. Combined with adequate speed, flexibility, and endurance, high levels of strength lead to excellence in most sports. In combat, without the prior attributes, a strong man will be like the bull with its colossal strength futilely pursuing the matador, or like a low-geared truck chasing a rabbit. So there it goes again. The importance of not forgetting about speed, flexibility, endurance as you train the strength. So notice that we're not just spending hours and hours doing strength training and nothing else. Like the way that a martial artist trained is not the same as a bodybuilder, not the same as a power lifter, not the same as a football player. Like, you have to know that it's different. And most of all the body or the training out there that's recommended for the public is always like from the advice of a bodybuilder, because everybody's all they care about is how they look. But martial arts is not like that. It's like it's development for functional, practical, for combat. So we have to put emphasis in other areas, not just the strength training. Okay, endurance is developed by hard and continuous exercise which exceeds the steady physiological state and produces near exhaustion temporarily. Considerable respiratory and muscular distress should develop.
Tell me about it.
Say again?
It says, tell me about it. That's how I feel when I do this stretch right here.
The best form of endurance exercise is the performance of the event. Of course, running and shadowboxing are necessary supplementary endurance exercises, but you should do them with broken rhythm, broken neurophysiological adjustment.
What's broken rhythm?
Like, he's saying, like, when we're safe sparring, for example, that's like the best way to get better at building your endurance for that event. The event he's talking about is combat. So when we're doing safe sparring, you don't know what the hell the person's going to do in front of you. You know, you don't know how he's going to move and stuff like that. It's all unpredictable, it's spontaneous. But say you don't have somebody to spar with and then you just go running outside for like an hour, but you're just running at the same constant pace. Okay, you're building endurance, but it's not the type of endurance that you need for sparring. Because sparring is not like that. It's not just like a constant run. It's not like running the marathon. So he's saying broken rhythm is like it's almost like jump roping, but at different intensity levels. That's more similar to sparring than just running, right? So breaking up the rhythm means, like, say we're doing a back fist drill and then it's like this is the same rhythm, but then if I'm like it's broken up, you know, it's like breaking up something that's constant and then, you know, like you breaking up the rhythm, like rhythm constantly changing. That's more like real fighting, because everything's changing all the time. It's not just the same repetitive thing. So when we're working those drills, for example, when we're outside, when you guys are going to the same rhythm, then it gets too mechanical and it's not realistic anymore. But as soon as he starts throwing some fakes in there and then tries to catch you off guard, then it gets more realistic. So he's talking about that, like, don't get into the same rhythm, break up the rhythm. Most beginning athletes are unwilling to drive themselves hard enough. They should punish themselves and then rest adequately, only to increase the output of effort after the rest. Long hours of work made up of many short, high-speed efforts interspersed with periods of milder activity seem to be the best endurance training procedure.
It's like what we do during fitness training, where we max first and trying to hit those limits first, and then do the smaller weight training to kind of rest and then, you know, set goals.
Yeah. Yeah, this is exactly what you just said. Like, high intensity, and then we take a break. Or we're not even really taking a break. We might do something with a lower intensity, with like abs or something, and then we get back to the high intensity, and then we might stretch a little bit, and then back to the high intensity. That's kind of how fighting is. It's not just all high intensity. There's times of rest when you're fighting, so you want to grasp those moments and then get back to it. Grasp those moments and get back to it. So our fitness is in coordination with that, so then that's what makes it more effective for the martial arts. Well, yeah, what I wanted to bring up, because, you know, you said you play basketball. To me, like, basketball, it's not just about strength. Like, you see, like, how people, you know, they dribble, how quick they are off their feet, and then it's not just about jumping higher, but there's like so many different skill sets.
Yeah.
That basketball to me is kind of, because I love basketball too before I started martial arts. To me, it's like very similar to martial arts as far as the athletic development is concerned. Like, it's not just like, notice that the difference between like basketball and football. Like, football, you're just like tackling a person, but in basketball, it's like more about finesse. Like, you can't just tackle them just because you're angry. You gotta like defend, and you got, you know, pretty much the angrier you get, the worse you could play, you know. So you gotta learn like a lot of different attributes in basketball, and then that's similar to the martial arts. It's not just about, oh, let's just get the strongest person is the best. No, it's like the people in basketball is not necessarily the strongest person at all, you know. Like Steph Curry is not even that strong, but he's just like raining down threes, for example, you know what I'm saying? So it's like that martial arts is very similar to that. You kind of utilize your body for where you're at, and then you utilize what you're good at, but it's clearly just not all about strength, you know? Like, there's other aspects involved in it, and, you know, you want to focus on those other aspects too. 4 hypotheses for extra endurance sports. Endurance can be acquired through a rather extensive succession of sprints interspersed with easier running. One trains for an endurance that is specific to a particular rate of speed. Extreme endurance training should include much more and longer work than what has been customary. Such Spartan training is for the champ. An occasional change of pace should be included that employs different movements and, to some degree, different muscle fibers. Exercises for endurance development should be gradually and carefully increased. 6 weeks seem to be a scanty minimum for sports that require considerable endurance, and 6 weeks are really only the beginning. The peak of achievement will be approached in years. Endurance is lost rapidly if one ceases to work at its maintenance.
So the maintenance of endurance, like breathing or what?
No, like say you start coming here 3 times a week, you do that for like 6 months, and then you take off 3 months, you don't do nothing. You pretty much lose everything that you worked hard for because you took that time off. Like, you pretty much lose it quick. It's hard to gain, but you lose it quick. So you need to like maintain your training to keep up that endurance. Balance is the all-important factor in a fighter's attitude or stance. Without balance at all times, he can never be effective. Once again, we go back to the stances. That's going to help you try to gain balance. If you don't have balance, you're just going to be very ineffective at what you do. Balance and coordination kind of go hand in hand. And we'll do more exercises where you're staying on one leg and you're holding your leg up, because that works a lot of balance too. Balance is achieved only through correct body alignment. The feet, the legs, the trunk, the head are all important in creating and maintaining a balanced position. They are the vehicles of body force, keeping the feet in proper relation to each other as well as to the body helps to maintain correct body alignment. Too wide a stance prevents proper alignment, destroying the purpose of balance, but obtaining solidarity and power at the cost of speed and efficient movement. A short stance prevents balance as it does not give a basis for which to work. Speed results, but at a loss of power and balance. The secret of a proper balance and the proper stance is to keep the feet directly under the body, which means they should be a minimum distance apart. Either the weight is balanced over both legs, or as in Western boxing, it is carried slightly forward over the lead leg. The lead leg is fairly straight and the knee is loose and easy, not locked. The lead side of the body forms a straight line from the lead heel to the tip of the lead shoulder. This position permits relaxation, speed, balance, and easy movement, as well as a mechanical advantage, making possible tremendous power. In general, for athletic contests, a preparatory stance will include a coiled or semi-crouched posture and a lowered forward center of gravity. With the bending of the forward knee, the center of gravity moves forward a little. For general readiness, the lead heel usually remains just touching the ground even after the knees bend. Slight ground contact of the heel aids in balance and decreases tension. Always leave the space of a natural step between your feet. By doing so, you are braced and never standing on just one point. By not getting your feet crossed, you are not likely to be pushed off balance or knocked down because of bad footwork. Postural habits. Lower the center of gravity. Keep a base with lateral width. Keep weight on the balls of the feet. Knees are rarely straightened, even in running. A center of gravity kept under delicate and rapid motion are characteristic habits of athletes in games that require sudden and frequent changes of direction. These postural habits are characteristics of readiness in motion as well as static posture. The athlete displays these static and basic motor habits before and immediately after each act, in preparation for the next act. When sudden movement may be necessary, the good athlete is rarely caught with a straight knee or with other completely straightened joint angles. From such bent knee preparatory running has come the well-known statement, the good athlete always runs as if his pants need pressing.
The good athlete always runs as if his pants need pressing. Oh, get it. Try to stay loose.
Let me see. Don't hyperextend. Don't keep your joints they're always slightly bent. Your joints are never locked out. You know. So pants need pressing. I think it's your pants have movement. It's a little baggier. It's not just so straight, you know?
Yeah.
There's more, since it's a little baggier, that means you can move more easily and more fluid. I mean, just think about it, if you got some pants that are just, that's why people don't want to fight in suits and stuff, because it's limited motion, you know? You can't move. You're restricted. But you see, athletic apparel is stuff that's very flexible and it could just move in many directions. So you could kick high, you could do splits, you could do whatever you want. But when you got formal attire, it just restricts movements, and then it doesn't need pressing because it's formal.
Yeah.
So it's ironed out and everything. So an athlete, it looks like his pants need to be pressed because there's still excess. There's still a lot of excess, movement that he could do. Balance is the control of one's creator of gravity plus the control and utilization of body slants and unstable equilibrium. Hence gravity pull to facilitate movement. So balance might mean being able to throw one's center of gravity beyond the base of support. Chase it and never let it get away. The short step and the glide, as contrasted with the hop or cross step, are devices to keep the center of gravity. When it is necessary to move rapidly, the good man takes small enough steps so that his center of gravity is rarely out of control. Body slants in a preparatory position are counterbalanced with an extended arm, leg, or both. One should seek good balance in motion and not in stillness. The fighter's center of gravity changes constantly, varying with his own actions and those of his opponent. The missing of a blow or intended kick means momentary loss of balance. That is why the counter fighter usually has the advantage, but the attacker will be fairly safe by adopting the small basic bent knee stance. Practice counters the moment your opponent loses his balance, especially if he is the stand-up type. Balance must be under control at all times so that the fighter will not lose his control in the middle of an action. For an attack, the center of gravity should imperceptibly be shifted to the front foot in order to allow the back leg and foot freedom for the shortest, fastest, and most explosive lunge. For a parry, the center of gravity should be shifted slightly to the rear foot so that the distance is increased and more time is allowed for the parry and riposte movements. We're going to stop it there. Is there anything you prefer to work on today for the combat?
I'll just take whatever you recommend.
Okay.
I think I should probably work on my form.
Your form?
Yeah. Because I thought about what you had said the other day, and I went home and like tried to mirror it correctly, but it is still new to me, you know.
With the drills or with the wooden dummy or just like...
However method you deem fit.
Okay.
I guess it's just mostly the form of making sure that I'm protected and not overextending myself or overexerting myself either, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. For sure. I'll do that.
And afterwards, I guess I could practice some kicks too.
Okay.